secure.
Cammy's not here.
Yeah, darn it. Almost.
Just makes us up our game.
Eleanor.
It's like I knew my thumb.
Good job. Congrats.
We should have that for you. Would you like some?
Yeah.
For bringing it down with us.
Yeah.
Ooh, we got a lot now. Okay, hang on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They do.
I'm so sorry. I just have to.
That's okay. That's fine.
If you don't mind.
Got tools. Use them. That way we know where you're.
Hello, everyone.
More attention. They're so cool.
Welcome, and we appreciate your presence at this meeting of the Grand Rapids Public School Board of Education. We respectfully request that you turn off our cell phones and clapping, cheering, or making audible comments. We invite you to make formal public comment during the designated times on either agenda items or non-agenda items, or if you wish, on both. To do so, please fill out a comment card and submit it to the board assistant or public safety officer. Those are up on the tables as you walked in, and our comments are limited to 3.
Okay, so for roll call, Trustee Buchek?
Here.
Trustee Kilpatrick, yes. Trustee Melton?
Here.
Trustee Moreno?
Present.
Trustee Van Dyke?
Here.
Trustee Williams?
Present.
Trustee Williamson?
Present.
President Rodriguez is excused, and VP Wade.
Present.
All right, we have quorum.
I do approve.
You'll ask if we want to approve the agenda
A motion to approve the agenda
as written.
as written.
I move that we amend the agenda to remove items 9.4 and 9.5.
Second?
Say aye.
Hang on, sorry, I need to find a spot because we're changing things up. Okay.
I'm wondering if we would want to remove it completely, because then there wouldn't be a chance for dialogue on it.
The other one.
Oh, man.
This is just the votes, not the actual discussion.
Yeah, 7.3 is the other item.
Future use of properties.
7.3 is a
Yes.
Catch that twice.
Yep.
Okay.
Where we could ask questions, right?
Say yes or no.
I second.
I did already, but thank you. You can, I'll give it to you. You can have it, Eleanor.
Thank you.
So that was Richard and Eleanor. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, motion
approved.
Still need to do the,
I know, let me get it all written, I'm sorry, folks. Fast, okay. So now to approve the agenda as amended, do we have a motion?
so moved.
Support.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? All right. We can move on.
First, we will have the superintendent celebrations.
So I'd like, good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. And so we would like to invite Warner Cross and Judd Scholarship recipients, and this will be presented by Nanette Herzberger and Kalita Moore.
Thank you, Dr. Ruby. Dear GRPS board members and Dr. Ruby, thank you for having us here this evening to celebrate our inaugural Warner Norcross and Judd Scholars competition. I'm Kalita Moore, Director of the OEI Department, and with me is
Nan Hersberger. I am Language Arts Supervisor for the district. All right, to give a little history about the partnership with Warner Norcross and Judd, I wanted to start by filling any gaps on this partnership. Since 2004, Grand Rapids Public Schools has enjoyed a strong partnership with the Warner Norcross and Judd Law Firm, LLC, out of Grand Rapids. As a result of this partnership, WNJ has sponsored the MLK Junior Social Justice Contest for the last 20 years. In 2024, Warner Norcross and Judd did a review of their organizational priorities and pillars, and they determined that the MLK Junior Social Justice Contest no longer aligned with those priorities. So at that time, the sponsorship then grew. They reimagined what this partnership could look like with the district, and the year 24-25 was the last school year that the MLK Junior Justice Contest existed for Grand Rapids. The good news was that they wanted to continue the partnership, but through a different, and out of that, the WNJ Scholar Contest was born. So what is a WNJ Scholar? A WNJ Scholar is a senior, and it is a student who completes a WNJ assignment successfully. Kalita and I worked together to build an assignment for our seniors, and we'll get a little deeper in that. The scholar had to craft and deliver a persuasive, historically grounded paper based on the Lincoln-Douglas debate format. The paper explored a social justice issue throughout U.S. history. The students then connected it to a certain specific law, court case, or policy, and then they argued in their paper whether the law or policy upheld or violated a core moral value, such as justice, liberty, equality, etc.
So this year in the inaugural year, two schools participated, Museum High School and Grand Rapids University Preparatory Academy. It was through a senior debate class, and over 20 works were submitted, and the work was inspiring. And we're going to hear from our scholars in just a moment so you can hear some of what they wrote about. So the winning submissions were from Group A. The separate but equal doctrine established in Plessy versus Ferguson violated justice under the 14th Amendment by Tanaya J. Radin. And the second place winner was Federal Constitutional Rights to a Basic Minimum Education is an American Standard by Nicholas Lattimato Fisher. And so the scholars researched that, they did, and it was, like I said, just beautiful work.
The scholars from Museum, their submission topics were the Americans with Disability Act, Advanced Equal Opportunity by Jules Kelly. The second winning topic was Stricter Voting Regulations in the United States Are Unconstitutional by Sapphire Helak, both seniors, and I am proud to announce them and have them join me, and we get to hear a little snippet of their amazing work. So Jules and Sapphire, come on up.
Jules, why don't you introduce yourself and you can just read.
My name is Jules Kelly. I am from Museum High School, and I started debate this semester.
Jules, can you come a little closer to the
Yeah, of
microphone?
course. Okay. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 was designed to prevent discrimination against individuals with disabilities in employment, transportation, and public services, says the U.S. Equal Opportunity Commission. However, decades after its passage, many people still face barriers both in the workplace and public spaces. In fact, the Business Disability Forum reports that the Great Big Workplace Adjustment Survey 2023 finds that disabled people are still waiting too long for adjustments and are having to drive the process themselves. Once in place, adjustments are not regularly reviewed. This shows that legal protections alone have not ensured equal treatment in practice, and ongoing challenges demonstrate that legal protections have not achieved true equality. Our criterion for achieving equal opportunity is whether individuals with disabilities can participate fully in society, specifically employment, public spaces, and transportation, without facing systematic barriers. True equal opportunity requires both the majority and minority to be structure design. Every single person should be accounted for when we build our cities, no matter the cost. If people cannot physically access transportation, workplaces, or buildings, they cannot participate equally, and equal opportunity is not achieved. Just as a blind person that is using the tactile paving to navigate may end up nowhere if it is left unfinished and unregulated, not attempting to make more of an effort to support the disabled minority leads to nothing, an empty space where someone is meant to get the same opportunity as everyone in the area. While the ADA intended to create equality, without accessible infrastructure, financial support, and public understanding, true equal opportunity remains out of reach. We are looking for real equality, not a half-hearted attempt at it. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Sapphire. I offer you two sayings, and they go as follows. The right to vote is the crown jewel of an American's liberties, and we will not see its luster diminished, by Ronald Reagan. And similarly, justice grows out of recognition of ourselves and each other, that my liberty depends on you being free too, by Barack Obama. These quotes exemplify a fundamental truth of democracy, which is that political freedom depends on the ability of citizens to partake in elections. Their words exemplify the importance of our rights, not just to free speech, but our right to be in a democracy with our voices across the spectrum of time and belief. Therefore, I affirm the resolution that stricter voting regulations in the United States are unconstitutional. The value of today's round is liberty. And in affirming the unconstitutionality of stricter voting regulations, I offer these contentions. Restricting voting rights and restrictions to people's liberties, the implementation of required identification at polls brings us closer to a government-controlled state than a democratic republic for the people, and that the data backing the claim of voter fraud that has been used to justify the unnecessary voting regulations, which has led to these policies, does not represent the truth of American life. Thank you.
As I said, inspiring, and we got to read 20 papers like that. Some of the other topics included, just so that you can see the depth and breadth: wartime suspension of civil, morally unjustifiable; The case of Roe v. Wade shows the discrimination and inequality of the lack of autonomy given to women and their bodies. The Clean Air Act, excuse me.
The Clean Air Act Amendment of 1970 was necessary to uphold quality of life for Americans. The Declaration of Sentiments asserts women's equality, and Brown v. Board of Education, separate but equal, is inherently unjust.
Each scholar participant received a cord to wear at commencement. The winners, two in each class, received a W&J medal to wear at commencement and a scholarship. Number one in each class received a $1,500 scholarship, and each runner-up received a $750. That is a $4,500 investment in our scholars. And I love the fact that, thank you, love the fact that they got to enrich their critical thinking, explore these social justice issues, and prepare to be the adults that we are putting them in society to be. So this picture here shows our 2026 Warner Norcross and Judd Scholars at a reception held at the Warner Norcross and Judd offices on April 28th to honor this year's scholars and their families, and we are looking forward to growing this competition in the future.
Great.
Thank you.
For our two people, Jules and Sapphire, just outstanding. Keep continuing to advocate. Don't lose that spirit. So congratulations to both.
Great job.
Our next celebration is the recognition of our scholars receiving the seal of biliteracy, and this is hugely important as our young people who have earned this seal. It helps them with advancement in college, as well as saving money as they go on to college, or also for future employment. And so Jen Brock and Eric Vanderleest will be coming forward to share what the seal of biliteracy is.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for allowing us to come here and talk about another really amazing year for our district scholars in achieving so many seals of biliteracy. So I gotta get to the next. Oh, I managed to mess it up somehow. Sorry, I managed to somehow disrupt the one button that I needed to click. Thank you. I think as Dr. Roby had mentioned, the seal of biliteracy is not only an incredible, but comes with several advantages. So this is a recognition of our scholars that have demonstrated on cultural tests a intermediate, high, if not higher, language proficiency. Although I can attest to, after reviewing all of our scholar scores, that we had many advanced proficiency level. So with this recognition, as well as receiving a letter of appreciation and recognition from Governor Whitner and having a seal to adhere to their diploma, there is also significant benefits for universities, including Grand Valley University, that awards 15 credits to any seal of biliteracy recipient. Central Michigan University has also made a public statement that they are going to award a certain amount of credits to seal of biliteracy recipients after completing a single course requirement there. The amount of credits they're still determining, being told over the year, and the summer. And Washtenaw College in Michigan has also made a public declaration that they intend to recognize the achievement of seal of biliteracy earners with college credit. Within our district, our buildings are also celebrating our seal recipients through a variety of recognitions at graduation nights, physical recognition and awards given to our scholars, as well as announcements made in graduation flyers. This is obviously opportunity to celebrate our scholars in their accomplishments, to lift up the supporting teaching staff, And I also want to make a special recognition for our counseling team across the district who are integral in helping to identify these scholars who would be interested or capable of taking the sealed biliteracy test. Many of our counseling staff across the district are responsible or are in charge of actually administering the many tests during the school day and contacting these scholars to make sure that they are supported throughout the process. And we also had counselors this year that advocated for and helped to research and support several scholars in receiving their sealed biliteracy through a separate pathway of their transcripts. We had several scholars this year who were able to prove their proficiency through courses taken outside of the country, and then on their transcript, the reflection of that knowledge as well as their ability and proficiency in English was able to be enough to satisfy those requirements for sealed biliteracy earning. And so it's been a fantastic year. We were able to grow on our already last year growth of 98 scholars from the previous 90 amount to this year. We had 103 scholars earn their sealed biliteracy. Last year, the 98 scholars from our district earned a second place in the Michigan state rankings of SEAL recipients. So while we're going to have to wait until the end of this summer, I would anticipate that we are going to rank highly once again, especially as our scholars continue to earn their SEAL now through AP tests, through IB scores, and other means that, again, our counselors are working really hard to help identify and track our scholars' accomplishments. So it's been a really great effort on behalf of staff and scholars all across. And I just want to recognize our buildings that our scholars are graduating from, with their seal, including Innovation Central, City High Middle, C.A. Frost Middle High, Grand Rapids University Preparatory Academy, Ottawa Hills, Union, Southwest Middle High, and the Grand Rapids Learning Center. The languages that were earned for their seal this year include Spanish, Swahili, French, Arabic, Cantonese, Mandarin, German, Pashto, Kinyarwandan, Dari, Japanese, and Portuguese. So really impressive skill and also just amount of culture and knowledge that is within our district. If there happens to be anybody in the audience who is a scholar and is the recipient sealed biliteracy, could I ask you to take a moment to stand just so we could recognize you in the room? And if not, if you would please, if you have the opportunity to attend, approach them and make sure to congratulate them personally. I'm sure they'd appreciate it, as is well earned. Thank you again for the time to present.
Thank you.
We ask questions?
Yeah. No. If you have questions.
I do want to uplift the work of the district to seek out students who could possibly earn their seal, not always, kind of overlooked. Some are in classes, some just speak two languages and deserve it. And I do want to shout out my daughter who earned her seal last year thanks to Southwest Middle High School.
Thank you. Our final celebration, it actually includes our superintendent scholar representatives who sit on our board. As you know, each year we pick 3 representatives to represent our student body, and they also sit on the Superintendent Scholar Advisory Committee that meets each month. And so these young people will be going on to college in the next couple of months, but we wanted to take the time to recognize them and also thank them for not only representing their school community, but also the broader district in both what they have done sitting at the board table, but then also they've had opportunities to meet elected officials and to advocate for things that are important to our youth. And so what I would like them to do, and we'll take a picture afterwards, we have a recognition of the following young people, and we'll say their name, and then also for their time, just a small token of appreciation with a gift card from our Board of Education. And so Randon or RJ Beasley. Aaliyah Fitzpatrick. And Stephanie Martinez Ayan, who's not here this evening, but we want to welcome or thank her too. Thank you for your service, and we'll come forward.
Next, we have our scholar representative to do their reports.
I would like to say thank you, JRPS, for allowing me to serve, be on the board. Also, thank you for letting me be on the Superintendent Advisory Council for 2 years as well. And thank you for investing in my education and getting me a full ride to Detroit Mercy.
All right, I definitely want to echo what RJ said. It's a big thanks to GRPS. Thanks to programs such as the Superintendent's Scholarship and us being student board representatives, we're able to experience things and be in rooms that we wouldn't have been in before, which gives us a lot of different skills that we will continue to use in the future. So, thank you.
Our secretary's report.
All right, a quick one here. We have a finance committee meeting scheduled on Tuesday, May 6th at 4:30 over in, I think actually it'll be here. Yes, it says the auditorium. And then our ad hoc facilities committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 8th at 5, and that will happen over in the conference room, room 112, if you're interested in joining us. And that's all for the report.
Thank you. And our ad hoc committee update.
Yes, thank you, VP Wade. Today we, as a committee, we discussed the proposals for Stocking and Alexander. We won't be voting on it, but we will be having a discussion as a full board about the proposals. The committee and myself encourage any other board members to, if you have questions, to please share them with the district team as we continue to deliberate, and then hopefully within the next month vote and make a decision on which proposals we're moving forward with. The other topic we discussed was the updates to the facilities master plan as it regards to the Montessori programming. Again, we'll be discussing this as a whole body, but just to reiterate some of the information that we've discussed, after last year's wish of the board to pause and reevaluate, and the district being really forthcoming and to work on that, our discussion was around moving from 2 Montessori sites to now 3 Montessori sites, one down at Ridgemore, the other at the Riverside site, and then having the middle and secondary level at the Fountain Street location. Of course, we'll have more discussion about it as a full body, so thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Trustee Williams.
VP Wade, I have a quick question.
Yes.
Was there a motion to move that forward? I didn't hear that in your comments.
Sorry.
Did we recommend that moving that for the Montessori?
Yes, the committee recommended moving it forward. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it, Trustee Williams.
Before our superintendent's report, if you have comments, this is the last opportunity to put in a comment card before public comment. Dr. Roby?
All right. Good evening, everyone. And so we'll begin with our bond construction quarterly report. And I would like to invite forward Mr. Larry Johnson as well as Dale Kaminga.
Good evening, Dr. Roby, Vice President Wade, and Board Trustees. It gives me great pleasure to present the quarterly update of the Facilities Master Plan tonight. To kick off this presentation, I will be reviewing the busy list of summer 2026 construction projects. First is Kent Hills Elementary. This project consists of replacing light fixtures in the classrooms, upgrading several of the scholar bathrooms, and replacing interior finishes. Next are Dickinson Elementary and Chavez Elementary. Both of these projects are completing the carpet replacement started last summer and replacing the HVAC controls, which will help eliminate some of the maintenance. Now the buildings that are under construction. We have the new Northeast Elementary School at the Aberdeen property is proceeding with the floor and roof structures being framed. The next steps will be to enclose the building, pour the floors, and start installing the roofing. At Ottawa Hills High School, the work to receive the Alger Middle School with a new separate entrance and serving cafeteria. Also the work for replacing the practice football grass field and track surfacing is beginning. Later this month, the refurbishing of the auditorium will begin and will be completed in the fall. At Ken O'Shea, the demolition is going in full strength. Existing walls are being opened up. Trenches for new underground plumbing are being completed. And I am happy to say that all of these projects are currently on schedule. Next up, we will be converting the Alger School for moving the elementary next. Bids were received late last month, are currently being reviewed to present at next month's board meeting for approval. Construction will begin later this summer. And projects that we are finishing up, Innovation Central High School Auditorium. This project has been delayed several times due to material procurements closing in on the end. We're just doing some final touches. The fuel tank replacement is also wrapping up. The new above ground fuel tanks and fuel pumps are in place and the systems are being tested. This should be ready in a couple more weeks. Additional summer projects include the upgrade of the district's elevators, and there are many. Also replacing several of the district playgrounds, as you can see from this list. There are several others that are not on the list that will be installed during the construction projects at the building, including the new Northeast Elementary, Alger School, and Ken O'Shea. Finally, we have the projects that are in the design phases. Montessori projects. The Montessori project I won't discuss at this time since it will be detailed here shortly. But we are working on the district-wide pool renovations and auditoriums. And also we are beginning the programming to get input from staff and community for Harrison Park Elementary, Campus Elementary, and the Union High School for the move to Westwood Middle School. This work could begin as early as 2028. With that, I will try and answer any questions.
I like the round robin, so we want to just start at the end and go. Sarah?
I don't have any questions right now.
No
no questions, but thanks for continuing your great work on this and the entire team.
Yeah, I'm wondering, you, at Ottawa, you mentioned the cafeteria, is that true? Is that what you said?
We are creating a new cafeteria for the middle school.
For the middle school, okay. Can you talk at all about, will there be any updates to that? I know the food service conversations have been ongoing, and so just interested generally, and if any of that will be reflected in those, in that.
We are creating a new retherm kitchen for the middle school. And then on the ground level of the South House is where the new cafeteria will be placed.
Okay, and when you say retherm kitchen, continues to be a warming kitchen?
A warming kitchen.
Okay, thank you.
My question is also around Ottawa, but regarding the pool. I know in our last a couple of facilities meetings ago, you mentioned that you didn't receive more than one bid on updating the pool. So can you tell us where you sit with that now?
Correct. We are going to package all of the pools into one to create a better bidding climate.
Okay.
We're hoping to do that yet this fall so that we can get on the pool contractors' books for later work. That's one of the problems we're having is there's a limited number of pool contractors.
Yeah.
And they were pretty much booked up for this year.
Yeah, okay.
So they didn't bid us.
So probably not a 2026 project, but more a 27 or 28 project.
We're probably looking at one pool in 27, one pool in 20.
Okay. Okay. Wow, all right. Thank you for that update.
Trustee Moreno?
No questions, thank you.
Trustee Williams?
So can you let us know how we are budget-wise on those projects? You said schedule-wise we're looking good. How are we budget-wise?
Budget-wise, we're all under budget.
No questions.
Well, I want to thank you for showing the before and after for Central's auditorium, because we keep seeing the finished one, and I'm like, what did it look like before? I don't remember. And then also want to uplift the possibility of a culinary kitchen in Ottawa. Remember we talked about there's two kind of a little cafeteria in Ottawa, and then the larger space.
Correct. That program hasn't been developed yet. Once it does get developed, we will work on creating a culinary kitchen for that program.
That's awesome.
Nice job, Dale.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll have the Montessori Facilities Master Plan update, and I invite Mr. Steyer and Luke Steyer, Dale, and then also the folks from Plant Moran to give us an update. That says Future of Alexander and Stocking.
All right, good evening, Vice President Wade, Superintendent Roby, and Board of Education Trustees. Thank you for having us here to provide this significant update to you and ask for your support of a change to the facility master plan for a 3-site Montessori program at GRP. This comes after more than a year of design, analysis, family and staff engagement, and multiple revisions to create a future for a Montessori program that provides equitable access, a pathway to accreditation, and renovated buildings that can be completed on budget. During the regular board meeting tonight, we'll be asking for your support of the 3-site concept. I want to make an important distinction here. This is not a vote on the specific plans for each site. It is on the 3-site concept for Montessori. And once we have an approved FMP update for that 3-site program, additional design work will resume so that we can keep moving forward. And as we go through this process, we will continue to provide additional opportunities for families and staff to help shape the final designs at each site. So I'll just provide a quick overview of where we've been so far, and then I'll hand it off to these guys to go deep on each site. The 3 sites we're talking about is a northern PK through 6 campus at the former Riverside Middle School, a southern PK through 6 campus at Ridgemore Park. Those 2 schools would then filter into a Montessori Middle High School at the Fountain Building. If approved by the full board tonight, the timeline is there on the side of the screen. The Riverside campus would be the first to open in 2028, welcoming scholars and staff from Grand Rapids Montessori, North Park, and Wellerwood. The Fountain Building would be renovated during the 28-29 school year without scholars or staff in the building and open the following year. The Ridgemore Park renovations and addition would be completed over the course of 2 summers. Scholars and staff would not need to be relocated for that project. Final timeline on which 2 summers that would be determined as we continue to move forward on design work. Extensive analysis has shown that renovations at all 3 sites will cost approximately $35 million. It's slightly above the $32 million originally in the Reimagine GRPS bond for Montessori projects, but that difference is achievable through savings on already completed projects. As Dale says, we continue to be under budget, so those savings and interest earned on the bond will help close that $3 million gap. And an important note, moving forward with this plan would not impact any other projects in the Reimagine GRPS bond. All other projects are allowed to continue moving. Stay with me. All right. Over the past 2 months, we have gathered valuable feedback on the proposed 3-site Montessori concept through community and staff engagement sessions. We started with staff meetings in March. Following those staff meetings, we made some revisions to the project based on the feedback we had received, and we went back and had community open houses at all 3 sites in late April, and have made additional revisions to some of the site plans based on the feedback we received. And to keep our Montessori families and staff up to date on our adjustments, last week we sent a message out to families and staff detailing revisions and next steps. That letter included an FAQ document that worked to answer the questions that we had received during our engagement sessions in April. We also sent the updated site plans based on feedback. So all of that information has been sent to families and staff and let them know that we're also going to the board for an approval of the FMP adjustment tonight. I'm now going to hand things over to Doug Phillips, and he can walk through some of the specific sites work that we have done so far on looking at these design plans based on feedback we've received so far. Again, the vote tonight is focused on the 3 sites, but we do want to give you an update on where we are at each site based on feedback.
Thank you, Luke. So starting with the concept for the pre-K 6 program at the Riverside site, this would be a full renovation of the Riverside building and a modernization of all of the systems, equipment, materials, finishes, and spaces within the building. Some of the feedback we did receive in meeting with the staff and families led to revisions such as making sure we have enough parking on site for parent drop-off and pickup that occurs especially with the Children's House age preschool kids. There's a sign-in, sign-out process that does require parents to leave their vehicles, unlike at the upper grades where parents pull up and the children either exit the vehicle or come to the vehicle. So we've made sure to address that need on the site. We also got specific feedback regarding playground structure for the 3 levels of children that do exist in these programs. There will be 3 distinctive different play spaces that have separation and as required for those scholars. Additionally, Montessori programming requires and utilizes a lot of unique materials through the course of a school year, and there is a significant additional storage need for the guides for those classrooms, and we are working to ensure that we have provided that space within both near their classrooms as well as centralized within the building. The Riverside building does provide some real advantages for the Montessori program here in some of the ancillary spaces. It has a very large gymnasium space. It has robust music, band, and choir spaces. It has an outstanding cafeteria space, as well as separate dining for staff, and ability to provide dedicated art and project lab spaces for the programs. At the Ridgemore Park site, a significant piece of feedback we received was regarding the ability to add additional classroom space, specifically to increase the Children's House capacity for this location. So that became the principal focus of the upgrades that will take place here. We will be doing mechanical system improvements and electrical system structure upgrades as well. They do have need for storage and small breakout spaces. And then I also wanted to speak to, from an elementary standpoint, the other thing we heard consistently from the program was the need for, or the desire to have playground spaces that were more of a natural environment approach. So we have reflected that in the planning for both Ridgemore and Riverside. Lastly, at the Fountain Building, we did receive a lot of positive feedback about finally achieving a standalone building for the middle high program for Montessori. So while there was a lot of constructive feedback given, there was recognition that this is a long sought after goal for the program to have their own space. The Montessori program operates on a different day than a traditional school, and being co-located with another school makes that very challenging. Other things that we heard was concerns regarding converting what has long been an elementary building to serve middle high scholars. We're very comfortable in the design team's ability to effectively convert this building to feel appropriate scholars, and we base a lot of that on the feedback we've gotten on the Sigsbee project this past year, where we took a former preschool building and have converted it to serve as an alternative school, and that has been very well received by that program group. We heard feedback on changing how we were accommodating the choir and band programs in the building. We're reflecting that in our concept, as well as making sure we have dedicated science spaces at both levels, middle and high. Lastly, there's a strong desire for an outdoor learning environment for the middle. One of the advantages of the Fountain site is already contained in the fenced portion of the Fountain use of this block is an area that's currently outdoor play for soccer and things like that that can become an excellent space for Montessori outdoor learning.
And then I just want to mention the gym. We've had a lot of discussion around this as we've gone through this project. The gymnasium on the first floor will serve as the gym and cafeteria. The idea there is that most PE courses would be able to held in that gymnasium. And then we are also creating a new secure entrance off of the side you can see there on the site plan of the Innovation Central Gymnasium closest to Grand Rapids Montessori. So when they design a larger gym space, they would have easy access to be able to go into that gym. All right, so next steps. Tonight, we're asking the Board of Education to vote on the Montessori site concept. Up next, once we have an approved FMP update, design work can resume on the Riverside PK through 6 campus. Up first, construction would be later this year. And throughout this process, we have committed, as we have from the beginning, to provide additional opportunities for feedback for families and to be able to help shape the designs of these programs as we continue to create a Montessori that will support our city. Any questions?
Sarah? Or I can start this way. I don't have any questions.
No questions.
Luke, thank you for uplifting intentional opportunities for feedback. Is there a clear, where and how, to what extent will some of the designs, I would assume that there's a boundary of designs, because I feel like we've seen iterations of this. So is there going to be a cutoff of feedback?
So once we have an FMP update, we'll continue that final design work at Riverside. So that would be the first site we would be focused on, working to finalize those designs and again get some more feedback before construction begins there. Certainly Fountain and Ridgemore Park, which are further down the line right now, there's more design work to happen there. Riverside is the one that's furthest along at this point. And we're still about 2 years out from construction beginning at Fountain. So there'll be additional opportunities as we continue.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Kilpatrick?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you.
I already had a chance to answer my questions at our ad hoc committee earlier today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And so our next presentation is related to the future use of both Alexander and Stocking properties. And Luke, as Luke Steyer, Rhonda Cribbs, and Dale, and our representatives from JLL will come forward.
We have Jeff and Chip here from JLL. I will walk you through a summary of where we stand on the future use of stocking, and then we'll answer questions you might have. As we've gone through the process of this facility master plan, we have made the commitment to our community that Grand Rapids Public Schools is working to find new uses for our former school sites that will add value to our. A look back at where we've been. With Alexander and Stocking, the board approved in 2024 using Alexander and Stocking as our pilot sites to develop a process of how we would go through looking for new uses for our former school sites. In 2025, JLL was hired to develop the engagement and request for proposals processes. That kicked off at Alexander and Stocking in January of this year, where we held community meetings in both neighborhoods to gather feedback and incorporate that information we received into the RFPs and into the scoring matrix. RFPs were open through April 1st. In the month of April, proposals were scored by the district and top finalists were interviewed at each site. And then here we are tonight on May 11th making a recommendation to the Board of Education. We were really happy with the proposals we received at both sites. At Alexander, there were 4 total proposals, and at Stocking, there were 3 total proposals. We went through those proposals as a team, then individually scored them. The average top scores here, when it was all added up, came at Alexander, LifeQuest, and Cross Contracting were the top 2, and at Stocking, West Grand, and Commonwealth Development Corporation were the top 2. You can see those scores are extremely close. That's why we decided to move forward and have additional interviews with the top 2 at each site to ask some more questions and learn more about their proposals. I'm going to walk you through 4 slides, 1 slide for each of those organizations, that shows some of the pros and cons that we determined as a team following the scoring and those interviews as to why we ended up making the recommendations that we'll cover here in a moment. So first at Alexander, LifeQuest Urban Outreach, which proposed a $1 million purchase for community-centered nonprofit campus. Some of the things that we really liked about their proposal through this process was that they have no other ongoing projects going. They would be focused on this project as an organization. They have a strong offer, no financing needed, which results in a fast timeline to close. It is very compatible with the neighborhood use that we have heard from community. They're an experienced local owner-operator, and we asked this of everyone that we interviewed, and they are willing to move forward with a K-12 deed restriction so that it would not be a competitor to GRPS moving forward. One con we'll just list is that there is a school at their other site across the street right now, a charter school, that does compete with the district.
A couple items that need to be clarified based on conversation just a little bit ago. LifeQuest does not operate a school. The founder of LifeQuest, and I think he'll be speaking in a little bit, but they're not related. So just, I guess, keep that in mind. They also, in the proposal, they added that they would be adding housing, which isn't referenced here or shown here, so just wanted to add that is included in the proposal. Okay.
Cross Contracting offered a $60,000 annual lease or $1 million purchase option for a mixed-use community development. Some of the pros there was their flexible transaction structure, strong development experience. They have a local contractor network. They're willing to move forward with the deed restriction. Some of the cons, they've not developed an experience. They do not have experience of a project this size, financing not secured that we are aware of at this point, and development partner uncertainty. Moving over to Stocking. West Grand Neighborhood Association offered an $850,000 purchase of the building to create the Stocking Community Hub. Stocking is the West Grand Neighborhood Association is an established neighborhood organization serving the Stocking community. They have a comprehensive community benefit model that they have put out. They have a development partner that has great experience. There is strong support in the community for this proposal, as we have seen as the entire way as we've moved through this process, and a fast timeline to close for the $850,000 purchase price, and willing to move forward with the K-12 deed restriction. Some of the cons, just long-term, looking at the nonprofit operational risk. They haven't done a project quite like this before as a neighborhood organization, and then the complex capital stack dependency, which Jeff or Chip could probably walk through a little bit better than me here.
Yeah, when we talk about capital stack, essentially that just means debt and equity, right? So how much cash are they bringing in for a, kind of a principal payment versus they're getting through bank financing? Typically in these transactions, a lot of that's not sorted out until they kind of get control of the property, and when that means property is purchase agreement. So we have seen a bank letter from them, from a valid or a reputable lender, but they still need to do a finance or a capital campaign, whether that's to buy the building or that's future for their future scope or just to buy the building itself. There is some risk in that, and so that's why we put that as a con. So essentially, a better term than capital stack would probably be just sources and uses of their capital.
And then the other proposal that we did interviews for at Stocking was with Commonwealth Development Corporation. They offered a $1 million purchase for adaptive reuse into affordable multifamily housing. They have extensive adaptive reuse track record of doing projects like this, including right here in Rapids. They have exceptional scale and capacity, deep capital relationships. In Grand Rapids and other places across the nation, when they do a historic building, they do a great job preserving it. And like I said, they've done other projects like this. Really, the timeline was the big thing that would hold us back on this proposal. They require some state grants that they would need to go through the application process for. So the long timeline to close was looking at the end of next year. They are out of state headquartered, would note that. That's different than the other finalists that we're talking about. And that higher price, so back to the long time to close, $1 million from CDC versus $850 from West Grand, but a year and a half difference in the timeline kind of makes those prices more similar over time. So finally, our recommendation as a district is that we would move forward with at Alexander with LifeQuest Urban Outreach, and at Stocking with West Grand Neighborhood Association. We know that we had presented it as a possible vote for tonight. I know you've removed it from the agenda. So looking forward to a June vote on that as we continue to provide some more information, anything needed before a vote were to happen. And then also just looking ahead in June, the district plans to recommend 2 more sites to go through this process with. We think we've a very solid process that has worked well, and we would like to complete that process again for the next 2 sites through July to September. We think there are some portions of the window that we just went through that we can tighten up a little bit and continue to move through this process a little quicker. So that is our next steps, and we are here to help answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. With Sarah?
I already had a chance to ask questions. Yeah. I'll kind of listen.
Yeah, I'll pass on this one. We've already, discussed some good questions in the committee. So if you want to come back to me.
This is, I think, maybe just a minor logistical question, but with going back to the capital stack that you talked about, you said that they would need to do a capital campaign, and you said it could be either for the purchase of the building or for, whatever. Can you just say more about that?
Yeah, so kind of like when you maybe buy a home, you get a conditional letter of approval for a certain amount of money, right? A bank letter saying that they will fund a project, there are contingencies within that bank letter that we don't know. And so whether the portion of equity they have to come with could be 0, it could be 50. We don't know those specifics of that. And as we talked into the ad hoc committee as well, we can make that a condition of a purchase agreement that they'll have a period of time to produce that funding mechanism prior to moving forward for a long period of time. This is a short close, so therefore we would probably want to put brackets around that time frame of when we would require that.
Okay.
I would also add that I think there was a question that came up in our last meeting about the finances, and I think based on conversation after that meeting, we're not going to have the ability to have a lender commit unless something's under contract. So a purchase agreement is going to be very important to have in place for a lender to be able to give us that commitment. That makes sense, okay?
And so just processing. So for our purposes for that, we wouldn't be able to know if it would be for that purchase or for that later stuff, you're saying until that purchasing agreement has gone through, correct?
Yeah, my understanding is that the funding is available for the purchase, and that and I think they're here so they can clarify if I'm off a bit. But I think the capital campaign is more for the project itself after they acquire the project.
Got it, okay.
Or the property, okay?
That's helpful, yeah, thank you so much.
The timeline to close, you say it's a quick one. What is it exactly?
In September,
Okay.
It was like 90 days, I believe.
90 days.
For, you think stocking?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
With
on
the West
Alexander,
Brands.
I believe the applicant has funds, they don't need financing, and they can close tomorrow if we wanted them to close tomorrow. So, yep. Thank you.
Heard.
It was clarified after that meeting last time. So they're ready to go.
Trustee Moreno?
Yep, I have a question around, I appreciated the cons, and I'm just kind of thinking through process. And I'd really maybe like add an additional step around hearing from the folks y'all recommended to maybe have space to like just tell us a little bit more. And I don't know if the ad hoc facilities team got to hear from any of them. I think it just would have been really helpful to hear firsthand and have that experience. Or even again, if it was post, to hear just a little bit more. So I really appreciated you uplifting like the relationship between the private school and this potential second land.
Absolutely. And I don't believe they had the ability to have a comment prior to it being presented. So I know both the parties are here tonight, and I believe that they're ready to share a little bit more detail than what we've presented today. So.
And I would just say that that wasn't in our original kind of the process we laid out for this, but this is our pilot program. So if we want to do that in the future, that's certainly something we can build in as we continue to move forward and find the best way to go through this process. So I think that's really important feedback.
Yeah, no, I would really appreciate some kind of interaction with whoever the partners are. And I know a few of them have come to do public comment or have emailed us, but I think being able to be in relationship together is really important because we are just one community.
That's all questions. Yes. Trustee Williams?
I have a few. So with regards to the process, I do want to encourage us to take some time to hear from particularly about some of the areas like we feel like there should be some adjustment before we just jump in with the next two. I think that's important for us to understand that. I also want to make sure that we take time to have a clear understanding about kind of what we have said and kind of what has happened. And I'll say this, it seems as though I recall a conversation where we stated particularly that we didn't want an entity that would be in competition with the board for students. And if we service pre-K through 12, and we do, that is not quite here in our proposals, or maybe it was not clear in the RFPs. So I think that's a part that we want to make sure that I can make sure that we are on the same page going forward on. But question rises, I'm still unclear about something that was said with regards to a development partner. If you could go back out to, it was, I believe, one of them, yes, development partner uncertainty. Can you unpack that a little bit for us, what that means?
Yes, when during the interview process, as Lucas explained, we did interview the top two. During the interview process, they said they're going to bring other project, but they had not identified them yet.
Partners for purchase or partners for programming?
No, that's a great question. I can't answer that at this moment.
Okay, so I think that's something that I know we are back burner, we want more. I think that's an important question to not it is a partner for actual purchase or just programming once they get in the building, if that's the case. I also wondered, I know the board had a priority where we wanted to look for partnerships. We wanted to look for where we could have retained land ownership. I see here that there's a lease, and I'd like to have a better understanding as to how a lease, which allows us to keep land ownership, was kind of the thinking about why that was a second versus a first, again, because we get to keep the land, right? So I just would like an understanding of how or why that came in under the other one, and what your thinking was around that, and giving us that recommendation. And then I don't know if you can't give it to me now, if you could give it to us in the future. And then I also had a question again around this. The specifics around a capital campaign. I am so unsure about what that is. And I mean, even as you describe it more, I come with more questions. So I need to understand what that actually means as far as, and in the future, you of course can break this down for us, what that means as far as once it goes to the bank and the bank say this, I need to know whether or not, are they prepared? So if for instance, you said the bank will put this much forward, and they have to come up with, are they prepared with whatever that other amount is that the bank said that they would have to do? And do we have an idea of what that might be? And then also with regards to what is the funding again? It doesn't seem to be 100% sure. Is it funding to buy the building? Is it funding for the building and the programming? Is it funding for just the programming they want to put in it? I think those are valid questions. I think as we look ahead to what could be in these buildings, we don't want to give up property and sell property for somebody to let it sit, and then whatever they want to do with it does not happen, and then now we've lost land, and then they got to sell it. And I know that we can put in there things about rights of, it's not first refusal, but I think we had some other language, right? But the reality is that we don't want to be buying land. We don't want to buy back what we just sold. So we need to make sure that we're not selling it prematurely, when in fact, if we hold tight, we may find another opportunity or another buyer. So I don't want us to unload land and then the other person has to sell it off. And now that's equity and assets that we have lost from in our portfolio to be able to do things with. So those are some of my questions. Sorry, that was a lot.
I can maybe not answer all those questions, but I think some of those questions can be answered by the applicants today. So maybe we refer to them when they come up and have their time up at the podium, if that would maybe help with some of those answers.
We don't respond to public comment. We don't take questions that way. So I don't know if it's a matter of us trying to maybe schedule a time with the ad hoc facility, or with, even if ad hoc, I don't know how we want to do that, but I think that would be a horrible dynamic for us to try to set up time, and I don't want them to be unprepared for the questions that we might have without, giving them a heads up in advance as well.
Yeah. VP Wade, may I comment quickly? Just in response, would that be in order? Two things. If the rest of this board wishes ad hoc facilities to have a meeting to address those things directly, as the chair, and I'm sure, I don't want to speak for anybody, but I'm sure our members would be willing to do that. But additionally, just as a reminder, these are all great questions, but continue being able to send those directly to our district staff, and maybe those can get to, or send it to me as well. You can include me as well, but just making sure it gets to our direct those questions on. But if this board does want to have ad hoc facilities, set aside time and meeting to do whatever, I'm sure my colleagues on the committee would be open to making that time.
Yeah, I think my curiosities are just hearing more of the details. And I wasn't privy to the ad hoc committee today, so some of those things may have been discussed during that. So I'll reach out to you just to see if there's some of those answers. But as far as the Alexander site, my questions would just be, when it says proposed use community center, I would just want to know more about what they mean by that, community-centered programming, and just how we can ensure, I know there's no huge guarantee, but how can we ensure we're not taking away from programming that we provide and we offer for our kids? And then as far as the stacking one, my question would be, how much of a plan do they have for, if it's nonprofit and it's a collaboration, how much of a plan do they have for keeping that building full? And yeah, I mean, I just look at like those types of buildings, like the downtown market, and there's been times where it's pretty empty. Just kind of the plan they have for keeping that a vibrant location for our community.
Thank you. I think you did answer one of those questions that Trustee Williams had around the lease. Could you? She asked about the what, like I think I asked in the committee, how did that get chosen?
Absolutely. I think there was a few factors, but as far as the lease versus sale option, just from a financial perspective, the way we looked at it as a discounted cash flow of the annual rent payments, if you take 60 grand over, call it 10 years and discount it back to today's dollars, what is it worth today? It was like in the $450,000 range. So $1 million today versus $450 today is what you're comparing apples to apples to. So just from a financial perspective, and just to be clear, we didn't make recommendations. We provide all the information to the staff, and they did their own analysis. I just want to make sure that's clear.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Well, I guess for our next phase, possibly, just wanted to suggest that maybe during the interview process, given a little time for board member questions to send to the interview. That way, some of these questions could have been asked. That's a learning and then also just to be clear to our my colleagues that on June 8th, when we vote, we're not voting to necessarily. I wanted to revisit that conversation for everybody. Not necessarily voting to sell, but to proceed with the conversation into contract, right? Like, so we're not saying, yes, sell it to these people, to these organizations, but also but then we're also saying continue this conversation to the next phase of contracts. Can you talk about what you said?
Yeah, absolutely. So the next stage after you select a group to move forward with will be a contract negotiation. And that contract negotiation, we can incorporate some of the questions and have during that negotiation of that contract. So it's a purchase agreement, and that purchase agreement will have certain due diligence and timelines, some of which can be ours and some of them will be the buyers. And that is, what we have right now is kind of a framework of what a purchase agreement say. Now we have to reduce that to writing from a contractual standpoint, and those are typically negotiated.
Thank you. Kim?
So then basically we are voting for you to go into to sell.
Yes.
So that vote is saying, please go do the work to sell this building.
With this organization.
With this particular organization.
There's still things that will be negotiated between our vote and that agreement.
Right. And so I get that contractually there'll be some language will not come back to us again. That's my understanding.
As is mine. Maybe there'd be one final vote to
We vote on the contract, the wording.
My understanding would there perhaps would be a vote because we'd have to finalize sale. But other than that, yeah, once we enter contract for sale, that's it.
Will we vote on the contract?
I don't think so. This is proof that will be, so I think that is the learning that we need to make sure that we're clear on. My understanding is when we do sell to those people, that will be what is needed to sell that building, and they just gonna work out the contractual language to get it done, and unless it falls through, it will not come back to us again.
In short, that's my understanding as well.
Yep. Well, thank you.
VP Wade, I did have
Yeah,
a
I'm
couple
so
of, sorry, I passed and I wanted to, I just wanted to agree with what trustees Buchek and Williams highlighted in their questions. And then also just, yeah, to ensure that we're in the business, I said this in our ad hoc facilities, we're in the business of education and public education, and we want to focus on what we're doing to uplift and strengthen that for our district and every child that lives within the boundaries of this district. So just ensuring that that restrictive covenant language is strong enough to address that. But then also at scale for any property that we're considering, these are all public assets that we've had as a district, we've had the privilege and the burden of managing through the years. And if we're going to sell these to any other entity, whether it's public or private, that's a fiduciary responsibility, not only for the immediate financial benefit or loss, but also for the future of our larger community, the future of the city. So I just want to ensure whatever we do, not just ensuring that the money is there at the moment of sale, but also that whatever projects are uplifted are sustainable and are going to continue. So it's something that even long after we are no longer, as a district, the owners of these properties, we can drive by and see that they are a successful asset to the community. Whether it's a private entity, a public entity, individuals, organizations, I just think it's important that we do our due diligence. And then additionally, what would be helpful for me looking into June is seeing what the proposals were. We've seen the summaries, we've seen the great presentations that have been given to us, but being able to see the proposals directly, I think, for me at least, as an individual board member, would answer a lot of the questions that have been asked around what exactly is this offer proposing to do with this properties. Being able to see those proposals, any other gleanings that even came from interviews that differentiated them, just seeing that data and that information directly would help me. Thank you.
Yeah, and can I ask Trustee Williamson, if you can collect board questions so that we can get them to them to make sure that
I will do that.
You're all.
Yes.
All right.
Just one last comment on that. I do want to make a comment on, it is subject to the city's zoning and approval process as well. So and that will happen during that due diligence period. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that.
And some may already fall into that category and be allowed by right. That could happen as well.
Yeah.
All set? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, before Trustee Kilpatrick reads us into public comment, we do have over 60 minutes of public comment, which will reduce our public comment time from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. And I don't know if this is her read-in, but you can always email us your full public comment.
That's right. So to those of you who have signed up to speak tonight, we want to thank you. We know that your presence here is a reflection of your care for our students, our staff, and the future of our district. While it is never our intent to stifle public comment, we do ask that your comments are expressed in a civil manner, that you maintain respect for the rights, dignity, and privacy of others. And please know that board members will not respond during public comment, but we are actively listening and we are taking notes, and we will make sure that your comment followed up on through the proper channels in an appropriate time frame. And then a note that we understand and recognize that it takes some courage to come up to the podium. So whether this is your first time speaking tonight or you've been here many times before, we just want to say thank you again and acknowledge the strength it takes to come forward on behalf of our district, our community, and our kids. Remember that, and it will be just a 2-minute comment tonight. Go ahead. And we did note that there's at least one request for translation services in here. That heads up now to the booth. And if you do need, if someone forgot to mark that box and you need translation services, please let Julie know so that we can be ready for that. Thank you.
All right, this Ramona Scott Moon. And followed by Ramona would be Leah
I'm Ramona Scott Moon, a 7th grader in C.A. Frost Middle High School. As I speak to you today, I'm not only speaking and representing myself, but also for the rest of the students in the middle school choir who are not able to share their opinions this evening. I appreciate the members of the board who were able to go to our concert today and let me speak today. If the choir wasn't here, I wouldn't be here speaking to you all right now. Mr. LaJoy's choir is a safe space, and middle school kids should have the chance to have Mr. LaJoy's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade choir, and the right could be taken away from us due to budget cuts. Many of my classmates are heartbroken that this might not be an option for us next year. We are so much more than our voice. We are a school, a team, and a family. And if this is taken away from us, this could affect students mentally and grade-wise. I would like to end this by saying that not only does Mr. LaJoy help us make great music, but gives us the space to express ourselves and feel accepted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Leah Ostmalinsky, followed by Jasmine Escobar.
Hello, I'm Leah Osmolinsky. I'm a student at C.A. Frost Middle High School and a member of Miss LaJoy's choir. I want to start this by thanking members of the board who came and saw our performance today and why it brings us so much joy every day. About a month ago, my choir was informed of what could be happening to our choir next year due to budgets. Since then, many students have asked Mr. LaJoy what we could do to try and make an impact on this matter. That is why I'm here today, to hopefully make an impact. I've struggled with my mental health for many years. My father was an alcoholic and so was my mother. Through their recovery, my family went through a lot of hurt and brokenness. Ever since then, I've struggled with anxiety and depression. I still deal with these things to this day, but LaJoy and his choir has helped that greatly. I've never been a shy kid. For some reason, middle school terrified me, as it does most. But walking into LaJoy's choir, I immediately felt at ease. LaJoy makes it his mission to not only teach us all there is to know about music and our voices, but to make his classroom a safe space for every kid, no matter the race, religion, gender, or sexuality. In the past 2 years, LaJoy has helped me better myself, not only as a singer, but as a person. In my choir class, I've gained confidence I never knew I had, along with breath control, pitch, and tone. I know many kids, including myself, that can fall victim to the stress of school. Every day I look forward to walking into that room and getting to sing and laugh and get a break from all the stress of daily life. Wow. I want to end this by saying every kid deserves to be in choir if that is what they desire to do. In C.A. Frost, many do desire that. So taking that away from these kids can have a negative impact on their mental health, mindset, and schoolwork. I could go on about this for hours, but I want to end it here by saying thank you for listening.
That's time. Thank you.
Next up, Jasmine Escobar, followed by Colette Crowley.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jasmine Escobar. I'm in 9th grade. I joined speech and debate this year, and it has already had positive effects on me. As someone who struggled with stuttering following the pandemic that struck us all, forcing everyone to stay inside and limit socialization, and on top of that, having English as a second language, I lost all my confidence in speaking. I feared being judged or ridiculed for mistakes and lack of speaking skills that I completely convinced myself it was better to stay quiet, which made the issue worse as I deprived myself from opportunities to get better. Speech has truly been a vital stepping stone that has helped me harness and better my enunciation, which in turn improved my confidence and self-trust. Plus, meeting all these kind people through events has changed my perception of people. They aren't maliciously hyper-focusing on mistakes to bring me down. They help me grow with advice and push me forward towards the right path. This club has become a new community of the sweetest people ever,
and a second home for me. I've grown closer to my peers, and it has meant so much for me to look forward to the weekends in order to see them outside of school. Finally, it has improved my diction and how I articulate myself. I feel like I can finally authentically express myself and connect with just my words. I've noticed improvements in these myriad of areas through examples such as school presentations, where I no longer fear going up there and sharing what I've just learned to this moment. It may sound cliche, but a year ago, I couldn't possibly think of standing in front of a crowd and just conveying what I felt. So I'd love to thank you all for providing $4,500 in funding to our wonderful team this year. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for continuing to support us going forward.
Thank you, Colette Crowley, and following Colette would be Jane Neiman.
Good evening. I'm Colette Crowley, and I'm a sophomore in GRPS. I'm here with one simple message. Thank you. Thank you so much for funding the GRPS speech and debate team for the 2025-2026 season. This has been one of our best seasons yet, and with your support, we were able to keep our program alive and ensure that each of our teammates could flourish this year. For me, this year in speech and debate was full of struggles, growth, and milestones. Halfway through the season, my debate partner and I were struggling. We had leveled up to varsity, and it was not the same as JV. But by the end of the season, with our hard work, my partner and I won 3rd place at state finals. Last year, during speech season, when I couldn't even break semifinals, I kept competing, and this year, I'm state champion. Our team has won countless trophies across all sections, finding success in every category and every level of experience. As much as we love our speech and debate community, it is no secret that our team is one of the only urban public school districts in our debate league. At tournaments, I rarely see students that look like us, but that doesn't stop our success. This season, our team raked in trophies, drew in dozens of new students, and made GRPS proud. Our team stands up and stands out. We prove time and time again that kids like us belong at these tournaments, that we are constantly improving, and that kids like us will not back down, even when the system tries to hold us back. We have stories to tell, and your support ensures our stories are told. Thank you.
After Jane Neiman is Stephanie Hickman.
Hi, I'm Jane Neiman. I'm the Vice President and President-elect of the Grand Rapids Education Association. I wanted to do a couple of shout-outs. First of all, thank you to the Union High School admin team, one of whom is here. We had one of the best teacher appreciation weeks. I personally believe that our building has the best one. So shout out to them for making teachers feel appreciated. Want to say what a wonderful celebration it was at Mindshare and celebrating Deb Perry. That was beautiful, and it was a tribute to the amazing educators we have in GRPS, as are the students who just spoke, which leads me to, I want to endorse the request in the purchasing agenda for the new ELL curriculum. After talking with a lot of our wonderful ESL teachers at Union, they see a lot of benefits to purchasing this curriculum. And so I would like to shout out Maida Gunnell for putting that forward for a positive change. Also, I would like to, once again, challenge the board to closely look at budget cuts where it concerns course offerings and staffing that directly work with these wonderful students. When we make cuts to classrooms and to teaching staff. We deny our students of opportunities and those safe spaces and the wonderful relationships that our GRPS educators have with our scholars. And so I want to challenge you to take a close look at the budget and to try to avoid these types of cuts. And remember that this is the business of public education, and it starts with students and educators. Thank you.
Next we'll have Stephanie Hickman, sorry. Followed by Reverend Jerry Bishop and Sarah Martinez.
You should have went first. This is my first time addressing the board. Thank you for listening to me. I am a Alexander Elementary School, went to school, kindergarten, first grade. My children went kindergarten, first grade. We have a vision for Life Quest for Alexander in the community. I just want y'all to understand, as a grandmother, we want to impact the city. We want to impact the community. We want to have partnerships where we help young people and have older people help young people mentor. It used to be a community. We used to be a community. Any of y'all could have spanked my butt when I was bad. We want to go back to that. We want to go back to, community. Older people, because we have stuff to say and teach. Young people, these people right here, oh my God, y'all are cool. Because they taught us that, if you want something, you have not because you ask not. These babies, I am shocked. These babies speaking better than me, and they grandbabies. So I'm gonna defer to my pastor, but basically what I'm saying to you is I understand your concern about what we wanna do, and I can tell you some of the things that he has talked to us about for that purpose, for that building. But I personally am invested in Alexander Elementary School because I'm a product of it. My children are a product, and I'm a product of this community. And I'm here for the long haul. Thank you for listening.
Jerry Bishop, followed by Sarah Martinez and Marjorie
Kangalosi.
Thank you.
Good evening. If I could have Life Quest stand quietly in the back. First of all, board, I want to say thank you for how you serve our community. And I'm grateful that we're being considered as a finalist, and I think that whoever, between the two finalists, you're getting two integritous entities in the process. But earlier tonight, I painfully listened to a serious omission of critical details pertaining to our proposal. It appeared tonight that the goal line is being moved on dates, timing, criteria, and contingencies for the applicants and the use of the project. Our exhaustive multi-page plan was very detailed in anticipation of these very objections, including a 4-point graphic shown here, but included in the proposal that I would hope that you have gotten. But according to the ad hoc committee members, the proposals were for both applicants were reduced to a summary page, missing much important information in order to make a detailed, adequate, accurate decision on tonight. Number one, our proposal calls for up to 10 units of housing that was not mentioned. We're not inexperienced in providing those housing. Our plan offered we're the first to offer a K through 12 deed restriction. Our plan noted that there were 0 zoning issues on local, county, or state level pertaining to the structure for our proposed uses, none whatsoever. Our proposal shared an interest to partner with GRPS for upper level of after-school programming, specifically in the gymnasium as a safe meeting space. Number 5, LifeQuest does not own the Gerald Dawkins Academy, nor are we related. We are on the same campus. Yes, I am the co-founder and the board vice president. The two are separate entities. In reality, we are a complement, not a competitor. Higher grade GRPS scholars are on our site daily, 7 days a week. We feed GRPS families weekly from our pantry.
That's time, Reverend. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. and then D. Jones.
Hi, I'm Sarah Martinez, and I've been fighting the North Park, the Montessori program for a while. And I want to tell you guys something that you're misinformed a little bit about. The Riverside plan, when they say 85 extra children, they are not talking about a children's house and moving them through the program. They do not have room for more children's house children. And currently, North Park has a wait list to get into children's house. So we hadn't taken these numbers, GRPS hasn't taken these numbers into consideration. So we're still gonna have, I don't think the Montessori should be a competitive school to get into. If you want to educate your kid in the Grand Rapids Public Montessori program, you should be able to. But we're limiting this program. So I want it to be very clear. When they say 85 new kids, they're saying 85 to the E1, E2. They're not doing that to Children's House. So I want to be very clear with that. And I want to be very clear, we want numbers. We want a full plan. I want to have a full plan. And when you tell me that you don't know what we are going to do with the ECSC students or the Great Start Readiness Program, that breaks my heart, because you tell them you're a second-rate students in our book, because we'll figure out where everybody else goes, and then we'll just figure out you guys later. That is rude and disrespectful to the Great Start Readiness Program, and it is rude and disrespectful to our extra care special education kids. So please come up with a full, conclusive plan that includes everyone.
Thank you.
Margie, next, D. Jones, and then Jonine Andrews.
Hi there. My name is Margie Angelosi. I am a Grand Rapids parent and volunteer. I'm Coco's mom. When I was a student at City in the 90s, there were only boys on the debate team. So grateful that my daughter has that on that team now. I don't take it for granted. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for the $4,500 in GRPS funding that allowed the GRPS speech and debate team to grow and excel this year. There were 33 students on the speech team this year and 52 students on the debate team. This includes 20 middle schoolers and 37 high schoolers, and the team participated in 27 tournaments this year. GRPS funding covered costs of $53 per student per semester, or 70% of the cost of in-state tournament fees. Pay-to-play fees and donations covered the other 30% of the tournament fees and the $21,000 cost of transportation. These costs are tiny compared to the benefits received by the GRPS student team, so thank you so much. I also wanted to let you know that the team's longtime volunteer coach, Mr. William Harris, is retired. We are throwing him a celebration at the downtown library at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, May 27th, and I'll follow up with an email for you guys, but I just wanted to personally invite you to that celebration, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
D. Jones, and after D. Jones, with Jolene and Heather Allward.
How y'all doing? I'm D. Jones, passionate entrepreneur and visionary. I help y'all build 8 esports labs, and I am the chair of the Stockton Community Hub, but I'm not going to speak on the project. I'm going to leave that to Annette to give y'all. But I am going to speak on this curricula because I gave this curricula to Jennifer Brock. I've sent you guys several information on the Stockton Community Hub, but presentation on 3D printing construction and having high school credits, actually being sure that our schools get CTE, that we can actually give students high school credits for building infrastructure, for printing affordable, sustainable, better, eco-friendly, earth-friendly housing that is better for Earth, better than our traditional real estate all across our city, our county, our state. I've been through the first 3D printed house. I've sent you guys this presentation. Don't tell me that you didn't see this publicly. I'm going to make sure that I stand on business because I know I've sent y'all several information from our partnership packet to everything. I know I gave y'all that information. I know I came to the ad hoc facility and I spoke to y'all about the vision until I couldn't speak to y'all about the vision. But I know I gave y'all the information. I know that I gave y'all this credential, and I don't read stuff off. I usually don't need to read anything. I'm that good at speaking. But I want y'all to hear what this offers our district, because I hear y'all say this for several years. We want something that is going to benefit our students, our district. We gave y'all that, and we're local. But we're going to serve K through 12 students seeking early career paths, incumbent workers seeking skills and upgrades, just as involved individuals re-entering the workforce, recovery, community members, displaced workers from declining. Who participates? What participants earn? Industry recognized credentials, pre-apprentice certifications, high school graduation credits, direct employment pipeline, school and district workforce board contracts, state and federal funding and tuition and employee agreement training. So we're going to bring 3D printed construction because I already got it in the city's plan until 2031, but we will continue to see for Brock. I'll be on you. Thank you.
Thank you. So if we have Jolene Andrews, followed by Heather Allward and Celine Turan.
Jolene Andrews, Southwest Elementary. First of all, I did want to thank you for making the Southwest Elementary close last week. The extra time was much needed and appreciated. I was not planning on discussing the response to the tragic event that happened last week just yet. I figured it was a learning experience. There would be time to process, deal with my own emotions, hear from my students, and follow up later with what could have been done differently. However, today it became clear that I do need to say something now. GRPS promised that there would be mental health services and a crisis team provided for families and students. We opened the doors to families on Thursday, but only communicated in one of the 4 formats that we would be open to provide those services. The district waited until that morning to send out a message to the crisis team to ask who would want to come. Who would have supported our students if we had been opened as planned? It was hard to get answers about who is part of the crisis team. It seems that they are people who hold other positions in the district, such as teachers and parapros, who volunteer to support during difficult times. They're trained in debriefing, but nobody could tell us what that meant. People who hold other positions can't just not show up for that position if they're asked in the morning. From the sounds of it, there are no licensed therapists on the crisis team. On Friday, we did have some of the SEL's team there, possibly some members from the crisis team, and a couple of our district mental health therapists. But today we were down to our therapist and 2 of her supervisors who left partway through the day due to... I, of course, want Burton to have the support that they need as well, but that left our therapist alone, and after they left, there was an influx of children in the afternoon for services, and she couldn't do it alone. Tomorrow, she goes back to the other school that she serves, meaning that we don't think that we're going to have anybody tomorrow to provide support for our students. We have many students who haven't come back yet, and if they come back tomorrow and there's nobody to care for them, that's going to be a problem. What about students who are still processing and will need to speak to somebody a couple of weeks from now? We know a few of our students were there to witness the event, but we haven't even identified everybody who was there, and they're going to need services going forward as well. As an adult, I'm having a hard time with this event. Our students definitely deserve licensed therapists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather Allward, followed by Celine Turan and Dan Morse.
Good evening, school board members. My name is Heather Allward, and I'm finishing my 26th year here in Grand Rapids Public, 23 of which have been with the Montessori High School. In that time, our high school has moved from the basement of Ottawa to the 3rd floor of Central, to the basement at Central, to the east wing on the 1st floor, back to the basement, and now we're currently housed on the east wing of Central. Our school has moved quite a bit. We are excited to finally be talking about having our own space and allowing us to become a fully accredited high school program. We love the 3-school plan. It's just that the Fountain building isn't the right building for the middle high. I've been to all the meetings to discuss the plan moving forward for the Fountain building, and I'm here to plead one last time for a vote, before your vote, for a change in this plan. I would yet again like to put forth the idea that the staff and meetings held at GRPSU move to the Fountain building, and that our middle high school moves to GRPSU. From what we've been told, GRPSU needs a new roof, big roof. It's updated electric and secure entrance. Fountain needs an entire addition, an elevator, a secure entrance, fully updated plumbing, along with high school-sized furniture. Breakdowns of estimates, comparisons have been requested but not provided. Besides this, moving us into Fountain leaves no room for growth. Putting 29 high school students in one of those classrooms with Montessori furniture does not. At Fountain, the gym and the lunchroom will be the same space. We cannot share gym space with Innovation due to different scheduling because we'll be on block, they're traditional. The Fountain gym is very small space. GRPSU has a beautiful full cafeteria and a full gym. The plan for Fountain has a band and choir room sharing a smaller space than the band is currently in. There are rooms for those two programs to have separate spaces at GRPSU.
That's time. Thank you.
All right.
You can
sorry.
email us.
Next, we have Salin Turan, followed by Dan Morse and Haley Solitz.
Much shorter. Good evening, board. Salin Turan, Grand Rapids Montessori High School. I want to thank you guys again for revisiting this Montessori plan for the middle high, finally having its own designated space outside of other programs. I do not want to dismiss that. This has not been an easy journey, and I've only been here 5 years. I know this journey with Montessori has been much longer than these 5 years, and I have been at multitude of meetings and multitude of plans for Montessori. Every plan, every discussion we have, we are so thankful to have. This district has proven to me that it wants Montessori here. It wants Montessori to thrive. I've spoken with multitude of parents and families that this is something that we want and something that we want to thrive and we want to do we want to make Montessori Montessori. That is truly the goal and nothing else. So I thank you again for a separate middle high. The main reservations is that this building just isn't big enough. That gym, I tried to fit 25 seniors in there to play dodgeball, and even that was a struggle. And not even thinking about sports, but just a typical gymnasium class, a typical PE class, playing basketball in there, playing volleyball in there is just not conducive. It was built for an elementary, and in order to make that gymnasium taller in height, you would have to take down that whole section of that building, which would then cost more. We've asked for comparisons side-by-sides with GRPSU and for Fountain, for other schools as well, other buildings, just to get more trust from the community, and we've yet to see that. I ask again for that as well.
Thank you. Time.
Dan Morse, followed by Haley Solitz and Bo Torres at Norris.
Hey, good evening, Dr. Roby and School Board. Thanks for having us tonight. I am currently the principal at North Park Montessori. I'm also a parent there, gardener at Wellerwood. Let me just start off by saying thank you to the board overall for your investment in the Montessori community, particularly as it relates to training for teachers and leaders. I was able to finish my Montessori training since October 2024, and that investment is greatly appreciated, that people and that investment in our people. All right, also I'm very thankful for this board's adjustment and change from the biggest change that I have heard from my community is a change from that PK-12 campus to the current layout of the PK through 6 and then a 7-12 layout, which does align with Montessori ideals and timing. As it relates to the timing of that. I think another benefit talks about the mirroring of the north side and south side, having a north side Montessori and a south side Montessori with a centrally located middle high campus that folks from the south side don't have to drive all the way up to Riverside to be able to access that. Thank you very much for that. Today I want to speak about my experience at North Park briefly and how the Riverside really benefits that. Okay, we're talking about a courtyard space that would be great for children's house and younger children in a larger outside space, larger classrooms. Our current average classroom space at North Park is about 625 square feet. We would be looking at about 900 square feet at Riverside, a direct benefit that our staff is very excited about. Logistics at Wellerwood, we're at the end of a cul-de-sac. That is a nightmare every single day, and so having that reviewed change of pickup and drop off, greatly appreciated. having everybody together. We have two campuses at both GRM and at North Park where I have to physically between two campuses. We have that manage both. It's very, very difficult. I am not here to say that there's nothing to trade off. Wellerwood would miss the woods, absolutely. We have two tight-knit communities with really strong communities, but I think that we can bring them together. Thank you all for your time tonight.
Thank you. Haley Solitz, followed by Norris Torres and Annette Vandenberg.
Hello, my name's Haley Sulis, and I've taught choir in the district for 3 years, and I'm here to advocate for the music students at all of our GRPS schools because several music classes have been cut or reduced for next year. I teach at Southwest Middle High, where the choir has been cut for next year, and where the band has also been reduced from 2 classes down to 1. Our Southwest students deserve the same opportunities as students in all of the other GRPS schools. And other choirs across the district have been cut or reduced, but Southwest Middle High, it will sadly be the only GRPS school to fully lose its entire choral program next year. The Southwest Middle High Choir is 20 students this year. They're a wonderful group of musicians. They earned a Division I rating at Choir Festival, and they performed at State Choir Festival for the very first time this year. They were one of the few GRPS schools to be represented at the state level this year, and the students sang so confidently and just literally had the best day ever. I grieve them losing these experiences next year. These choir opportunities give students a purpose, a reason to come to school, an emotional outlet, and a way to connect with each other that is so important in our current climate. Choir is a joyful place, and as one of my students put it, it's a place to cheer up despite this being a very difficult year. These students deserve a place to sing. So thank you for listening and continuing to support the arts in all of our schools in the future. They're an integral part of our students' well-rounded education, and they are well worth our investment. Thank you.
Thank you.
At Norris Torres, followed by Annette Vandenberg and Emily Hollingsworth.
Buenas noches, scholars, trustees, and Superintendent Robin.
Do you need a translator?
Just the buenas noches was in Spanish. Everything else will be in English. In the past, I haven't been driven to come forward with positive feedback, but tonight, however, I come as a community partner with words of encouragement. For the last 2 years, the Strong Beginning, Healthy Start, Strong Fathers, Padres Fuertes project has partnered with GRPS's Family and Community Engagement Team, or FACE team, to connect with parents in a cafe model that has been adopted by many of the NGOs in the community. We have encouraged partners, we have motivated parents, and we have collaborated together to make sure that voices are uplifted and heard. In that time, we have held 10 cafes, reached 95 parents, engaging directly with 35 dads and father figures to provide face-to-face direct conversations and supports. In this effort, we have also connected to the community safety, nutrition, SEL, and mental health teams, as well as several KSSN community coordinators to support this initiative, all of which have been extremely involved and committed. I want to highlight the FACE team tonight, consisting of Jennifer Williams, Casey Young, and Ben Cannon. They have been an outstanding representation of what teams in this district can achieve. They have gone above and beyond in the support of parents in their collaborative work. However, I want to point out that with 40 schools, 14,000 scholars, representing more than 80 countries and 70 different languages, 3 people are not enough to make the kind of impact necessary to build trust and true connection to community. Increased staffing and funding for this team would help in meeting their mission to engage community and parents. This is the type of investment needed in our schools. Their team is exceptional and committed to the success of families in GRPS. The same can be said for the work of communications, which one person has the job of communicating to a district that large. With that being said, I want to invite you all to come and see for yourselves this Thursday as we hold our summative event of the year-long effort in committing to our parents and community. The theme will be Legacy in Motion, Fathers Shaping the Future. You have these flyers with you. It will take place from 5:30 to 7 p.m.
It's time, Bo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Annette Vandenberg, followed by Emily Hollingsworth and Tiff Semis.
Good evening, trustees, students and staff and scholars, and Dr. Roby. Just thank you all for allowing different organizations to put in RFPs for our community buildings. These buildings truly do belong to the community. The stocking land was actually donated to the GRPS group by Billy Stocking, and he always meant, and his family always meant that it would be to serve the community good. I am the executive director for the West Grand Neighborhood Organization, and a couple years ago, Dr. Roby and I met and talked about the potential of Stocking School being on, and what that would look like for our community. And so that really got West Grand and the community talking about what it would mean to have a community hub for the first time ever. The school used to be our community hub, and it is no longer our community hub. West Grand used to meet at Stocking School and hold town halls, and we've done development meetings there. So Stocking School has always been part of the work that West Grand has done. We've had national nights out there, we've had block parties there, and this would just be a continuation of our work. As far as how this is going to be financed, yes, we are working on a capital campaign, we are working with side strategies, we are the Canary Group, and grassroots efforts. We've already raised over $25,000 without even having anything under contract, and just being a dream of the neighbors. Over 300 neighbors support this project, and we have talked to various people about funding, and they're like, until you get this under contract, you have nothing to leverage other than your good work of the last 46 years. And so we have a strong 46-year partnership with GRPS. We do not want to compete with GRPS. We want to support GRPS and their families, and that's all West Grand has ever done. And so I know we've had some board members who don't always align with what's going on, but West Grand is committed to supporting GRPS families, and we look forward to speaking with you more about the opportunity to purchase Stocking School and share with you all the details. Thank you for your time.
Emily Hollingsworth, followed by Tiff and Andrew LaJoy.
Hi, my name is Emily Hollingsworth. I have been a teacher with Grand Rapids Public Schools for 10 years. I currently teach science and STEM at Southwest Middle High. 3 years ago, Southwest began offering a STEM elective for its middle school students, and since then that program has continued to grow and become an important asset both to our school and to our district. Now, due to the current funding issues, STEM is among the classes being cut for the 26-27 school year. This is a very disappointing loss for our scholars. I understand that budget issues are complex, but if we are truly putting students first, it is difficult to understand why the schools are being asked to eliminate elective opportunities that students. Middle schoolers thrive when they are exposed to new and interesting learning opportunities. This is a critical time when many students begin discovering their passions, strengths, and future interests. Over the past several years, I've had the privilege of teaching a wide range of students. Some have started the year with not even knowing what STEM was, only to discover that they enjoyed it and also they excelled at it. And I've also had students who have come in with some knowledge and some background who are able to showcase their abilities and go way above and beyond what the typical curriculum is. They continuously amaze me. Also, for the past 2 years, students in my STEM class have been able to participate in some outside events such as the West Michigan Design, organized by 3 area ISDs. We were the only school in GRPS to participate in that, and in the 2 times that we have competed, we've placed in the top 3 the students have with their year-long design projects. Also this year during class time, a small group of students that is actually retaking STEM for the 2nd time have been able to build and code a more complicated robot and are competing in a robotics competition. All this is possible because GRPS made it possible.
Thank you, that's time.
Thank you.
Next, Tiff Simmis, followed by Andrew LaJoy and
Good evening. My name is Tiff Simmis. I am a resource room teacher at Park Montessori. I want to thank the board for all of their careful intention and for giving everyone the time to speak what they need to speak. I'm here because I would like to request that when the designs for the Riverside School are happening, that the architecture team and the project management team meet the principals and representatives of the SPED team to ensure that enough space is provided for all of the service providers. Currently at North Park, we are crammed for space for service providers, including resource room teachers, occupational therapists, social workers, speech-language pathologists, psychologists, and counselors. And when we spoke with the architects, they're doing a great job as architects, but they don't also, I get the feeling they don't understand what it looks like as a boots-on-the-ground operation operating from day to day. For example, social workers legally have to have their own room to do their social work with the students. And so in order to ensure that the architects are meeting the specific needs of the SPED team, it is my request that the architects, the project manager, and the principals and some SPED representatives meet together to make sure that with great intention, the necessary space is allocated. Right now we're working sometimes in stairwells, in the teacher's lounge, and it's a giant juggling process. And I do want to say thank you to the board because I know you've been through multiple iterations of design. So thank you for your patience, thank you for your diligence, and we would love to have that as a part of the process. Thank you.
Next we have Andrew LaJoy, followed by Elise Morak and Marta Johnson.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Roby. One last time, or third time's a charm. This is my third time speaking with you regarding my building, CA Frost Middle High, my band program, and the budget cuts impact on my program, and then also my colleagues here. We just had an outdoor performance for our spring concert today, and I am grateful to the board members that were able to make it, and understandable that for those that were not able to attend, and also it was a shame that members of the budget office were not able to attend today. 10 incredible vocalists were highlighted with solos or small group parts. 2 6th grade students who've only had their instruments for a month learned and performed the opening theme to Careless Whisper on their alto saxophones. And we were able to honor our now former student, Darion, who passed away from cancer back in March of 2025, with an arrangement of Remember Me that brought many to tears. I was told by higher up in the budget office recently that if students are going to see Frost Environment or the environmental science, the band and choir program is extra. Well, first, try telling that to my students who are currently devastated that the program is being impacted by these cuts. As more and more students are asking to join, I have a feeling I'm going to have to turn them away. Also, is English extra? As it stands, we are losing the only staff member that teaches 7 and 8 English. As a staff of 19, losing one impacts everybody in a negative way. I originally came to you in February with the concern of class minimums. Now, because of the loss of a staff member, which is 1.8 FTE being grant-funded intervention courses that have a cap of 15, the master schedule has become impossible to navigate at my building. Thus, my 7-8 choir, which should be 35, might be 14 next year. Continuity in education is everything. Staff, content, resources, any change at the building level is a disservice to all the students and staff that spent countless hours working to make our world a better place. I beg you, please ask the tough questions. I guess you have 4 days. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Morak, followed by Marta Johnson and Virginia.
Good evening. My name is Elise Horak. I am the only 7th and 8th grade science teacher at CA Frost Middle High, another speaking from CA Frost. Some of you visit our school for the spring choir and band concert this afternoon. Pleasure to have you guys visit us. You're welcome to visit my science classroom anytime as well. I'll be at camp with the 7th graders Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week though. So some of those kids that spoke at the beginning of the meeting, Ramona and Leah, about how much Mr. LaJoy's choir means to them, those are my babies, and we're going camping this week, so I'm excited about that. But anyway, you've heard me stand up here before and tell you about how much I love the staff and students at CA Frost. Our small size allows us to get to know all the students in a way that bigger schools don't. I teach all of the 7th and 8th graders, which means I really get to know them. You can imagine if you've ever been in an 8th grade classroom that it's a lot easier to have a really strong environment, good classroom management, to have a strong environment, to have rigorous learning when you're working with kids that you've known since the start of 7th grade. It's really something incredible that we get to do at Frost. My first group of 8th graders are graduating on Monday, and 49 out of 50 of those trade school after graduation. And these students' achievements have been supported by a small group of dedicated adults who know them deeply and love them dearly. And these relationships are possible because of our size, but that also means that there's like one 7th and 8th grade science teacher, one band and choir teacher for 6th through 12th grades, one English teacher for 7th and 8th grade, and that person has been told they're being displaced and not being replaced. So something as crucial as 7th and 8th grade English is being scattered around to other staff that have other jobs. So someone who is supposed to be teaching 6th grade social studies is now also, oh yeah, I have just one section of 7th grade English on top of it. It doesn't allow there to be one person who is focusing on students' growth and data. And you heard from the choir students earlier about how important choir is to them. Mr. LaJoy shouldn't have to tell half of his choir that they have to take remedial math instead because of the district budget. Thank you.
Got Marcia Johnson, followed by Deborah Cross.
Hi there, my name is Marta Johnson. I have 2 students at Grand Rapids Montessori, and I just want to say to Mr. LaJoy and all the educators after Teacher Appreciation Week, I'm going to try to do this. Thank you for being a teacher. I also want to thank the Board of Education for putting together the School Budgets 101. That was such a huge step forward to us being able to better understand the processes that exist, the questions that I still walk away from, especially as we have cuts in schools being discussed, like choir and other educational positions, is what is the decision-making matrix? What's the timeline? And why isn't there public information available for how cuts are decided at the executive level as well as in district with positions that impact our students? The other issue that I came to talk to you about was the Grand Rapids Montessori plan. I strongly urge you to not move forward with approving this plan as is. All of the school community were given an opportunity maybe 2 weeks ago to offer input. What you didn't hear that was offered definitely frequently at the GR Montessori Main, or not Main, the Fountain Street School, is people had serious concerns. They had a lot of questions, especially about the increased transportation time with sometimes unreliable bus timing and all of that maybe they would not decide to continue at Grand Rapids Montessori. They wanted to see how, where families were at and what this would impact everyone's transit times. You heard none of that in the feedback here, which gives you an idea that the feedback has not been robust. Furthermore, no one was notified that this would be voted upon, nor were we notified what people heard. So when we're asking for transparency and that means we want to hear back from you after you hear us for a community input session, so it's not just a checkbox. People do not know that you're voting on this, and that is a huge violation of our trust. Thank you.
Thank you.
Virginia LeGrand, followed by Deborah Cross.
No, Virginia.
Deborah Cross.
Good evening. For over 30 years, Cross Contracting, owned and operated by my husband Todd Cross, has been committed to the neighborhoods and people of Grand Rapids. Through residential and large-scale commercial projects, partnerships with community organizations, and collaboration, the company has built more than just beautiful structures. It has built relationships, trust, and a stellar reputation for showing up for this community. And that commitment is what brings us here today. Because for us, this has never been about just acquiring a building. It's always been about the people. It's about the children who deserve safe spaces to thrive, to dream, and to create with programming that will complement what Grand Rapids Public Schools is already doing so successfully. It's also about the families who want to see investment in their neighborhood and the 12 homes that we will build on site, homes that reflect dignity, quality, and care. It's about a space that can be a greater asset with the investment that cross-contracting will put into it if lease is an option. And it's also about doing something with the community and for the community, not just in the community. So every aspect of our full proposal reflects that. And although we did not disclose our lists of investment partners and such, I'd like to make it clear that we have entities and people who are excited to come alongside of us and be not only investors of finances, but to invest their time, to invest their talent and their expertise, relationships, and create a legacy for them and for this community in ensuring that this becomes the very best version of what we can do and reimagine for this community. We understand restoring a building is important, but trust, opportunity, and connection is the heart of our proposal. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
That's it for public comment. We have some action items. I was going all the way to the bottom. Sorry. So first is our purchasing agenda. Any questions, concerns, or motions?
Just so everyone is aware, there's some curriculum on there. So we have not been presented with the context of that. Not at all to question the curriculum. I've even heard tonight that it might be great, but because I don't know, I can't vote yes on curriculum. Just to kind of give context for that vote.
Anybody else?
Are you taking just comments or the motion?
Motions too.
Okay, I didn't want to jump the gun if there was anybody else that want to make comments. Okay, then I move that we accept the purchasing agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And all those opposed?
Also aye. Right?
Yeah. That motion passes.
Resolution to approve the Kent Intermediate School District operating budget for 26-27.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. That passes.
Resolution for Montessori Facilities Master Plan Revision.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Same sign.
Aye.
Can I hear who that was again? Melton and Wade. Thank you. That passes.
Next is our consent agenda grouping.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign.
Next, we have our board president announcements. Our board president is absent today. I don't have any announcements. Superintendent search update.
May have been.
That would be his announcement, and since he's not here, he'll probably email us. Sorry. Superintendent comments?
Good evening once again. Just a couple of reminders of some activities taking place. Spring is always a fun time of lots of different things. We have Canoemobile this week, all week, and so please feel free if you are wanting to get into to come on down to the Riverside.
Canoe what?
What is that?
Canoemobile?
Never
Are they
heard
gonna
of it.
pull me?
Okay. Canoemobile is where we have our 8th graders who go, every middle school gets to go to the Riverside Park where the Grand River is and gets to hop in a canoe. They also have orienteering and other activities that take place. Some people are not reading their superintendent board letter because it was in there. So
Was it called Mobile? That's the part I was like, wait, what?
is it not Canoemobile? The Grand Canoe Experience.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So now, wait, the Grand Canoe Experience. Okay. Well,
We don't pull each other anymore.
this week you can take an opportunity to come on down. It's even if you don't want to get on the river, it is nice to see the kids participate in it, engaging with just a valuable resource in our community. If you decide to join, I would suggest wearing something comfortable. So, next week we kick off our celebration of our 2026 graduates, two of whom are here, and we are looking forward to those graduation celebrations Monday through Thursday. Two opportunities each night, 5 p.m. and then also at 7:30 p.m. And you do have that also in your calendar to say which schools are graduating on which night. And just again, a huge shout out to Miss Deb Perry. The foundation celebrated her, and very worthwhile educator and musician, and what she has done not only for our scholars here in Grand Rapids, but the overall community. She's done lots of different things with plays and other events connected to the community, and just a huge force in the music industry. And so, again, giving her a tribute, giving her her flowers were well deserved. Congratulations, Ms. Perry. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Roby. Board comments, we'll start with Kim.
Do you want to let your scholars?
Yes. Your last chance.
I don't got no comments, but thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Second that also, RJ mentioned where he's going to college. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, but I'll be going to U of M to study environmental engineering, and thanks to this program, I'm considering a minor in public policy.
Wow. Start with Trustee Buchek.
Well, I just want to say that tonight the celebrations were needed after just a very heavy week. It was so good to hear about our scholarship winners and also our Seal of Biliteracy scholars, and then also from our student board representatives. We're just very proud of you, as well as all of our seniors. Sounds like Aaliyah was telling me she's done with exams, so they're done.
I'm done.
So lots of congratulations there. Also wonderful to hear from a couple students from the speech and debate team, and the whole time I was thinking, man, I needed speech and debate. Maybe I would speak a little bit more eloquently. It's just wonderful to hear them speak in such a way that they can articulate their thoughts so clearly for us. And then I do just want to highlight, thank you, Ms. Andrews, for speaking tonight. I do want to highlight our district admin and their response to the crisis that occurred last week, and just the willingness to revamp that as they were finding that it needed to be revamped along the way and adjust. And thank you so much to our teachers and staff that are in all of those buildings that were affected. My kids go to Southwest, so this was really heavy in our house this week, as I know it was for many families. And I just want to urge us as a board to really think about how we can evaluate how the response went and make sure that we continue to get better. God forbid these things happen in the future. So yeah, I hate to bring it up, but I think it's just something that we need to think about as a board and as a district. I'm sure we are already thinking about it, but how did we do? How can we do better? And how can we make sure there's a really solid plan in place?
Trustee Williams?
So I'd like to say congratulations to young Miss Crawley. She's already gone on her state recognition with regards to debate. Congratulations to all of our graduates this year. It is always an exciting time to attend graduation. And then also I want to just kind of highlight that the decisions that we make are not always easy. There's competing interests. There's many different aspects that have to be considered. And as we talk about funding of public schools, I want to encourage the audience to make sure that they are reaching out to their state legislatures. There's some big things that are going to be impacted. And if you don't know, the funding for public school systems is being used currently for college education. That's a problem. And that we all here bear the burden of what do we do without it. We're cutting teachers, we're cutting programs, we're cutting. We can't cut our way out of this, unfortunately. And if the funding is not addressed appropriately, as if some of you have heard in the past, our funding is still at the late 90s funding level. And we're at the end of 26, right? It is a problem. And so we'd love to be able to do everything. It just is not possible. We'd love to keep every staff. It's just not possible. This district is suffering because of funding. We are suffering for enrollment. We'd love to be able to provide all of these opportunities, but the cuts that you see before you, that's the beginning. There are more to come. And so we need you all to really do that work at the funding source. We know we won't get what we need, but if we can get better than what we've had, if we can get away from some of these categoricals that limit how we can use those monies, that's a big deal compared to the way school funding used to be. And then we feel the uncomfortableness of it. When we make decisions up here, it is not like this is something that we're just running, skipping about. We got to cut jobs. We got to cut programs. It is hard work for us. We sit between what we would like to see individual. I love choir. I was a choir person through all my Grand Rapids Public Schools experience. And I would hate to see that not be available. So I say that to say these decisions weigh heavy on us. And I think sometimes people think, no, they weigh heavy on us. We may not always get it right, but we are trying to do our best work. And I ask that you all continue to go alongside us. And again, reach out to your state legislator. They are in budget season. I have some of those budgets already up. We need to be inundating them with fund public schools fairly and appropriately. And that's part of our work too. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm also really looking forward to the next couple of weeks for continued celebration of the class of 2026 and hearing even more two current scholars sitting next to us, where y'all are going. That's really, really rad, and I'm so excited for you. To even know what you want to do and dream about that, so congratulations. And even for our scholars that don't decide to go to higher, this is the time to make those decisions. And I look forward to figuring out, how do we continue to support and others. Last week was really, really heavy, and again, I can't just share enough gratitude for all of our staff, Dr. Roby, Mr. Johnson, the responsiveness to pivots and changes. I just have so much gratitude for y'all, especially, I live in that neighborhood and have deep relationships with so many families, and, I also really want to uplift our partners. We are a community. It's not just what's happening in, also what's happening in third spaces, Granville Avenue Arts and Humanities, our Mental Health Collective, Esperanza, LCC, other partners showed up to support the families, outside of school, and that's just so important. Education doesn't just happen at our schools, it does happen elsewhere. And for partners to step up and say, hey, here's how I can support our scholars and our families outside of, school time is so important. As we're talking about selling buildings, I just want to continue to say, like, I want us to be in community with those organizations, those businesses, our scholars, our families are going to be interacting with them, and so any opportunity to continue. Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you. I'm trying to be presidential, y'all. I'm sorry. Member, Secretary Kilpatrick.
Okay, I'll go. Yeah, thank you for starting off with celebrations, Trustee Butek. I also want to just name my gratitude for what we were presented with today, and our students who are proficient in another language. So exciting. I am in my 40s and working on it, and I'm just so excited that you're getting it way before I did. I also want to thank Dr. Roby, Dr. Gunnell, Mr. Johnson for the crisis response last week, and the pivots and the way of hearing what was needed and responding to that again and again. And I also want to name that week is still within us, like that pain and grief is lingering. We heard it from staff in public comment. So I do think that looking at, as Trustee Butek mentioned, looking at our crisis response in a way that's not just immediate triage, but what is that ripple and what are we able to offer is going to be very important moving forward. Thank you, Trustee Williams, for the call to advocacy of our legislators. I want to support that. And I also want to support voting for candidates that support public education. So consider that in November. And on top of, while I'm talking about voting, also look for candidates who are supported by Moms Demand Action, who is looking to reform gun laws and bring common sense gun ownership to the table so that incidents like what happened this week are harder and harder to come by and occur. Lastly, I think we were all able to, most of us were able to attend Mindshare this week and honor educator Deborah Perry and the choir she brought to that event and the conversation about her legacy and her work and how impactful it is. It's all around music and how important that is in a student's life. And so when I hear that we're cutting music programs and I compare it to what we're celebrating in Miss Perry, there's a disconnect. So I want to make sure that we are doing everything possible in the business, arts, humanities, and music for our students. I hope you heard that. Thank you.
Erica? Yeah, I want to say thank you to the folks who came out tonight. I saw so many folks looking to really be able to show up for GRPS with some of these new community ideas, and it's just really great to see that support out in the audience, and I hope that continues in an ongoing way always. Congratulations also to the Warner Norcross contest winners, and again, the students graduating with seals of biliteracy. I also wanted to say thanks to all the businesses who participated in our first kind of big Staff Appreciation Week efforts, and especially to Stephanie at the Grand Rapids, at the GRPS Foundation, Luke, Jose, and Sarah for moving that work forward to really be able to thank our staff in a new way. I wanted to say thanks to Mr. LaJoy and also the music teacher at CA Frost and Mary Clausen, the choir teacher at Burton, for inviting us to their programs. It's so joyful to see the students. So I'm really grateful for those opportunities. I also want to say thank you to our safety team, our counselors, and the staff and community at Southwest Elementary who supported our students and families following this tragic shooting last Tuesday that took, our neighbors, Jeremiah and Savannah. I think the ripple effects, again, of this violence are going to continue to be felt. And I'm just really grateful to folks both within the district and some of the partners that Trustee Moreno mentioned for just finding ways to care for each other in these really impossible moments. And then felicidades to all the students who are graduating, and huge appreciation to the families and teachers and staff that got them there, because we know it takes all of us.
Trustee Williamson.
Thank you, Vice President Wade. Not to start off my own comment with a somber note, but I know that what happened at Southwest is a nightmare for so many of us. And I'm deeply grateful to the district team and others in our community, the staff at that building, for responding as best as anybody could be expected to respond in a situation like that. But it doesn't detract from the fact that in our society, the level of violence and gun violence is just pernicious. And while there's certainly policy changes that we need, I think there needs to be a societal reckoning with the fact that we allow that to even happen in the first place. But again, thank you to everybody who's able to respond and keep our community, be able to respond for our community and after the fact. And then kind of changing notes with Teacher Appreciation last week. I want to appreciate a teacher who's no longer with us. It's been 20 years since I've seen her, but I had a teacher who had a big impact on my life, Peggy Houston, who I would not be here without. And I always think of her this time of year, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't mean to get, I didn't think I'd get teary-eyed, but then I don't often do. She was very important, and yeah, I know, for every one Peggy Houston that impacted my life, we have 1,000 across this district who are impacting the lives of 13,000 students every day. And all the appreciation and thanks that we can give all of them for everything they do and everything that we can do to support them in making sure our children have the great outcomes and the great lives that I've been fortunate to have. So, thank you.
Trustee Milton.
Well, I won't repeat any of the wonderful things you guys have already shared and lifted. I just want to identify that there are three sort of crises, like you started to talk about, John, at the other end of the table, facing us as a district and facing public education. The first and most obvious being funding. There's really a funding crisis. We have an engagement crisis as well, and I really believe that. Kids are not finding relevancy in school systems across the nation. And then we have a real serious crisis around social emotional health of our staff and our students. And I believe very strongly that our current systems need to come to an end, and that there's new ways to think about all of these things. And so when we think about our facilities master plan, the search for a superintendent, budget, staffing, I don't believe we need to stay in this paradigm anymore. I believe that there are new ways to think of it, and I also believe that the power for us as a district comes from our staff. And I think that they are a source of information for us and professionalism that we don't always use. And so I believe in the face of these crises, all three of them, that as we turn to our staff who are most closely working with our students, that we're going to find power and new sources of understanding how we can serve our students and our families better. So in light of Teacher Appreciation Week, and I will even say Staff Appreciation Week, as so many of us are educators when we work in buildings, I just want to thank them for that and just give a nod to this sort of new system that is emerging in our culture, and thank them for the work they do, and have a lot of hope that things will start to shift. And unfortunately, we have crises to thank for that.
Thank you. Richard kind of stole my comment about it, but, and then Sarah added on with teacher appreciation. But no, just when I was a freshman at Creston High School, I lost a sibling, and there was a specific teacher, Ms. Hoffman, Katie, I can call her Katie now, who just took time with me and did some things that I wasn't used to, like made me write down my feelings. And that was my outlet. I didn't have no therapist or anybody else. My parents were obviously, not mentally able to support me, and Ms. Hoffman did. And so she made Creston a place that I wanted to come to every day. Did I do any schoolwork? No, but I was there, and I was there because I felt safe and seen, and I just want to uplift Ms. Hoffman and all teachers that support me every day at Baxter Community Center, and all of our teachers in GRPS. Thank you for all the work you do it is immeasurable. I got to visit CA Frost today. They had an outdoor concert. It was super dope. It was the middle and high school, and they sang beautifully, played beautifully. The weather was perfect, and the audience. Now, it is hard to perform in front of your peers, especially like a solo. And the peers, like the students were just quiet. They listened. They were so respectful and supportive. I thought that was the most impressive. It was like they were used to this. We're used to, being fans. I thought that was so sweet. Congratulations to our graduates up here with us. And next week, this is my favorite part of being on the board, being able to sit on that stage and watch and hand diplomas out to our graduates. That is like the highlight of my year. All of the work that we do comes to that moment, right? Preparing our young scholars for the future. So I'm excited about that. Thank you, Trustee Williams, for uplifting our budget crisis. Like, our colleges are getting millions of dollars. They're paying athletes, and yet they're, getting our K-12 money. And I don't like that. And I didn't know for a long time. And that's like, something that we absolutely should be advocating for less of. And how our budget situation here in GRPS is unfortunate. I still believe that our classroom should be last to be touched. We have to be more, I don't know, do something different, right? But our classroom should be last to be touched. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. I get to do that.
You're so thrown out of it.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
You guys,
She
you
is
guys
typing
know,
what you're
you
saying.
guys know that these are publicly available notes.
I know, but
anyone can access.
Their words.
I just asked that your name cross out is real.
I did. That was the first time I've thought to do that, though. All of the other times.